Hey, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Sarah, the Physio Sensei.
And I'm Santi, the PhysioSenseis. Hello.
Hello, hello. So
How's doing today?
today we wanted to talk about some just common things that we're seeing in our clinic this week, and both Santi and I feel like there's always something similar happening, like on his end and then on my end of like what kind of patients and clients we're working with, and it's funny because we'll talk about it and then we'll both have this like, oh man, I've been encountering that a lot too. So yeah, we're all on the same wavelength as far as that goes. But yeah, Santi, we were just talking right before we hit the record button here on how sometimes it's not necessarily a presentation of symptoms, but a presentation of personalities and the types of people that we're trying to be able to navigate in a given case or a given session. So yeah, let's just jump right in. What have you been encountering when it comes to being able to work with certain patients with personalities, different kinds of personalities?
Well, the first thing I want to mention is that whenever we talk, and usually when let's say we're talking like mentor to mentee or like a younger right out of school, new grad PT or something like that, there's always this misconception that like us the veterans, we just can just figure everything out so easily. And if we can cure and help every single problem and we can get diagnosis and choose a perfect exercise. And that's not actually how it goes. We're still dealing with personalities. And it doesn't matter, how long you've been doing it. You can get one patient or 10 patients in your day that really challenge you because of the personality. And I know you and I have talked about doing a training on the true colors and how to get people to kind of like
Yes.
meet people where they're at. And I think we'll definitely do that. I think that'd be cool. Um, Actually, we're all going to do that. But to circle back to like a frustration that new grads have, where they feel like the imposter because they can't figure it out, or I can't get the patient to like me, or I can't seem to educate them. They don't seem to be listening, or they don't understand. It must be my fault because I don't know how to educate yet. I don't know how to do the home exercise program. I don't know how to explain things the right way. I don't know what exercise to choose, right? So I think it's a good place to start on this topic of like personalities. That's a big thing that we all deal with. And whether we're young or veteran PTs, we all have to deal with it. And we can all handle it perfectly well or not. And I feel that it all has to do with how we view ourselves first and checking with our ego and checking with our expert uh, ego of how we were taught in school and how to like see the person in front of us and meet them where they're at, even if that personality could be the most frustrating personality for you. And we can do specific examples of cases on that if you'd like.
Yes, yeah, no, definitely, and it's interesting because yeah, we'll kind of punish ourselves or persecute ourselves for not being a good clinician, but it's not necessarily about your skill set or lack thereof, or how new you are or how experienced you are. It's sometimes it's you just are getting exposed to a new type of
Yeah,
person that you haven't really encountered before, and what better way to meet a lot of different kinds of people than working as a physical
exactly.
therapist in this sense. So yeah, to kind of dive into a couple different examples, right? So the true colors is something that we'll be covering as well. We've already started recording some of those videos, so we'll start putting those out. But something that I have been encountering a lot in my clinic are, yeah, like these know-it-all clients. There's this one lady who came in, and she came in with a diagnosis of like hypermobility. So first of all, that's like super vague, right?
Right.
And a lot of her concerns are like, yeah, I have aches and pains all over my body, and all these different things. And she came to me and essentially told me exactly what she felt she needed, what she felt was going on, what she wanted to be done. Told me where she thought I was going to be able to help, where she didn't think I was going to be able to help, which exercises she's tried. Like she laid it all, she had a folder with everything in it that she's ever done, right? So she was very systematic with everything that she had. But when she got done sharing her story with me, the only question I really had was, so so what can I do for you today? Because at that point, it was very much like she already had the whole evaluation planned out in her mind, and it turned into just me educating her on the body systems hierarchy, which we've talked about in the past, of all these different components that can lend to why her body is basically seemingly breaking down on her in these ways. And she had even mentioned that there's a lot of stressors that have been in her life for a long time in her life. And so in those cases, what she needed was to be heard. But this is also an example where I'm like, hey, I can teach you some of these exercises. You even said so yourself. You believe some of these are going to help with waking up your core. Sure, I can give you that. And also, have you thought about talking to anybody, and recognizing that my skill set is not helping people necessarily go into all of the psychotherapy healing and being able to process trauma and whatnot, if that is something that they're needing, especially because she was saying that there's a lot that she needed to get off of her chest. And
Right.
in the clinic that I met this individual in, it I wasn't going to have more than 20 minutes before my next patient came in, so I knew that I wasn't going to be able to give her the time of day that she would want either. And so that's like one example of recognizing, like, okay, this is where my job is relevant. This is where I have the
Hmm.
knowledge of, this is where I refer out. And this is how I meet this person where they're at. And we go through however much we can of the authorization and say,
Right.
and we see if we see progress. And if there's no progress, then, I prepped that information right on the front end, saying like, hey, this is how much time we have together. If we don't see any improvement during this time, because it sounds like you're highly motivated to do everything that I'm instructing you to do, but if it's not, quote unquote, not working, then just be prepared. These are where the next steps will be, and if it is working, then this is where the next steps will be, as far as that
Makes sense.
goes. And for her, she was grateful to have been heard, and to have had all of that, be laid out in front of her. And I had to keep reminding her every single time that she came in, because she needed just the constant reminders of
Right.
what the
Right.
next step was going to be. Very systematic, regimented, bullet lists, and came in with her folder every week, and it ended up being an opportunity for me to understand. Okay, when I'm with you, and then as soon as I'm out of that room, I have no control over whatever else you do with the information that I gave you, even if I know I'm going to have to reiterate a lot of that stuff the next time
Right.
you come in.
Yeah. So how did you feel? Not so forget the patient, right? Forget the patient. Like in that moment where you're taking in that personality, like did you feel anything? Like what, tell me what was going on inside your gut
Yeah, I
or your
remember the
feeling or your
first
mind.
time. I remember the first time that she walked in and she sat down and she said, "Let me tell you something." I was already like, "Okay." I kind of recognized, like, I was feeling like she had a very big presence in the room. And so me being in my history, I have a tendency to kind of like let everybody else take up the room. So I definitely felt myself initially kind of like shrink back and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna take all of this. But then I remembered, like, okay, well, actually, this, I don't have to let that energy affect me. And I sat myself in a posture where I could just let it all blow past me and not let it affect me so much anymore. But before every single session, she would come in, and I'd see that I would be working with her. I would prep myself and say, like, hey, this is a very professional relationship. I'm not getting super emotionally invested. I'm here to deliver information and then get out.
Mhm.
And the
Yeah.
the faster that I was able to get that practice in, it helped me be able to navigate that session a lot more easily, and not have to, not that I was shutting off my feelings entirely, but recognizing, like, feelings weren't going to help anything in this situation. She didn't need
Right.
me to empathize with her to make her progress. Um,
Right.
it would actually have been very counterproductive on her behalf. So for me, it took me to dig into my own sense of courage and confidence, to basically not be so invested, which sounds,
Exactly.
again, it sounds counterintuitive, but with certain people, that's exactly what is needed, and then it
And
provides a lot more freedom within my own energy.
yeah. Oh, I love it. And that's what we do, right? Like that's what we don't talk about, I think. I think we got to be professional. We got to get in there. We're the expert and we're just talking science, talking PT, talking diagnosis, talking HEP, talking compliance, all these different things, talking insurance, whatever. And or trying to, because as PTs, I feel like I mean, I don't feel like we are stuck in the middle between like a system and a doctor, and we think we are these autonomous people, and we really aren't, right? We're just
Hmm.
technicians stuck in the middle of a system that's frustrates people. That's why we do our own thing, right? Because we're like, ah, screw that, let's make our own system, right? But in the reality, most of the PTs are out there in a way in a position where we think we're autonomous, but we're not. And then we go through all these feelings that either we stuff down because of personalities or because of the boss or because of a company or because of they're overworking you or whatever it might be. And we forget that like we forget that we can feel it in moments throughout our day rather than like stuffing it all down and then judging the other person and getting mad at the patient or getting mad at the boss or holding it all in and then going home at the end of the day, taking it on your wife or your kids or your friend or your roommate and be
Right.
like, can't believe I had this crazy patient today. It's just like you did exactly what we should all do and check in within ourselves and be like, okay, I recognize how this person, energy, personality, however we want to define it, is affecting me. Let me check myself in. Let me ground myself,
Hmm.
and then go into it and meet them where they're at, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
The day that will go much easier, and then will prevent a lot of burnouts and a lot of imposter syndromes and all those terms that
Very
get thrown
much.
into the profession, right? But
Yeah.
that was awesome. That was a very veteran move that you did. Um, and but even let's say as veterans, I'll talk about like my experience. It was the same thing. Like I had somebody and I get just before we hopped on this, Sarah said, "Hey, so what kind of cases did you do today? We can talk about it." And she told me about a hip pain. And I was like, well, all my cases are like complex. Like every single one of my like all my cases are like the the train wreck of the medical system, right? Or the rehab system, which I love, right? But I'm like, oh, let's see, what can I talk about that was not like a crying person or the PT suck or my chiropractor hurt me or the doctors are terrible. Like that's usually what I get.
Mm.
But I love it. But I had a client. It was somebody from where from my gym that another personal trainer takes care of, and he was like, "Oh, I see you around. Can you help me with my hip?" And I was like, "Sure, man. Here's my card. Here's my number. Just text me. Let's set up an appointment." And he seemed very friendly. But then when he came in and he was very motivated, he was like, "Look at me. I used to be fat. I lost all this weight." And he showed me his picture. And I was like, "Man, you're right. You were pretty obese. And like, you're doing amazing." And, we talked about like his health journey and weight loss journey. And he was all motivated. And then he went into like, "Oh, my shoulder hurts right here. And I think it's from this accident. And then my hip hurts. Can you check it out?" And I'm like, "Sure, man, let's do it. Set up the appointment and let's go." So he comes in. That's what I was expecting, that type of personality. When he came in, um, everything was going fine, but then it was kind of like you said, like one of those know-it-alls. He's like, okay, I got my shoulder, and this is what I do, and I do these stretches, and my chiropractor told me this, and then I had the MRI, and I know when I hit myself, everything crunched, but now I have better range of motion. So in his mind, he's like, me crashing into a wall, uh, getting beat up by the massage therapist, going to a chiropractor, that's what keeps him loose and mobile. And I'm like, okay, cool, no big deal. And then what I do is I try to find the source of the problem. So he's telling me all these things that are treating like symptoms, and somebody massages it and he rolls it out, or he gets an injection. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. But what I do, and then finally I let him kind of vent it all out. And I said, great, awesome. And it's like, okay, so what I normally do is I'm hearing all those things. You're doing amazing with all your team and everything. But what I'm gonna try to do today is like find the actual source of the problem, because there's a lot of times that there's some imbalances in our bodies, and we can keep taking care of things. However, when you find the source, then I should be able to find that and then give you a simple solution that you can do to kind of help that shoulder out or help that hip out. By that point, he was like, "Oh, I don't even need you to look at my hip anymore, but if you want, you can, because I've already stretching it out." I'm like, "Okay, fine." I'm like, "Okay, no big deal." And then all of a sudden, like as I was explaining things, I saw like the frustrated look in his face and like the glaze over his face, right? And I'm like, huh, we're not, I'm sensing something here, right? And I felt myself, I started feeling frustrated. I was like, why is he wasting my time and his time? Like, what does he actually want? Right. Because, and I'm very patient. I wasn't, you know me, I'm very extremely patient. I'm like, okay. But anytime I would try to show him the anatomy app and like, look, here's where the nerve goes. He's like, yeah, I know, but like, I just massage it and I stretch it out. And I'm like, okay, but I'm trying to explain to you what I'm checking for. So that way, then we can find the actual source of the problem rather than just me
Mhm.
giving you a stretch, because the stretch you say that's helping is not helping because you're in here, right? So it was very confusing, right? It was like, what do you actually want, dude? Like, why are you here? So that's my feeling, right? So my veteran feeling is being like, what does he actually want? He's wasting my time. But I'm like,
Mhm.
no, no, I gotta love him. I gotta meet him where he's at. Our personalities weren't vibing, but I'm still smiling and I'm staying cool because I can do that. I'm like, okay, no big deal. And I'm going like, okay, what does he actually want? I even asked him like, what do you want? Well, I just want you to look at my shoulder. I'm like, okay, great. That's what I'm doing. So I kept trying explaining it. And I'm like, maybe I'll just show him like, so I had figured it out. And I'm like, okay, let me just show you what I do. Because everything you're doing is great, but your rib cage is attached to the, he's like, yeah, I got it. And I'm like, okay, great. So if we do this simple technique, it took like 30 seconds. And the guy was, it was painful and he was lacking range of motion. And then I got him full range of motion and no pain. And he was
Mhm.
like he just looked at me still like, why are you wasting my time? And I'm like, do you not see the outcome?
Yeah.
Did you see how I got, like, you're telling me you have no pain anymore. Do that again. He's like, yeah, no, it doesn't hurt. And I'm like, great. So all you have to do is just a simple technique. He's like, yeah, I know, but I already stretched in my chiropractor. And he just kind of repeated the same thing over again. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So do you want me to show you what you need to do from the source of the problem? Or do you want me just to talk to your massage therapist? Like I was like, what do you actually want?
Mhm.
I was very blunt. Like, what do you actually want? It's like, well, I just wanted you to look at my shoulder. And I'm like, okay, that's what I'm trying to do. So I kind of explained again, right? And I was getting now I'm not now I got frustrated because I got quiet. Usually when I have to process my feelings, and I was like, okay. And I'm okay with silence. I was like, okay, so let me know what you want. And I just got really quiet. I just let it be quiet for a while, but then it hit me. I'm like, you know what? This dude just wants me to just rub on his shoulder. He has all these things and all these people, and he just wants me to now basically massage or rub whatever other thing in his mind he's thinking that I should know more than his
Mhm.
massage therapist. So I was
Mhm.
like, okay, all right. I'm like, okay, you know what? You didn't see how you got more range of motion. You're not seeing how you got more strength. But it's okay. It's okay. Let's see. Take off your shirt. Let's look at your shoulders. I just started just digging out like fascial patterns, and he's like, oh yeah, that's where I feel it. And I'm like, okay, do you feel that in refer pat so I can reproduce this pain based on the nervous system? And but he was like, in his mind, he was like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, and I'm like, yes, let me work it out. But in my mind, I'm like, but this is how it's connected. And he started
Mhm.
getting it a little bit, but he still didn't.
Mhm.
And so by this point, I just basically fascial him out and gave him cost him some pain because hey, why not? Like this is what he wanted, and I knew it was gonna get him a result, and he felt much better. Um, and it treated, let's say, the symptom and part of the problem because I had already done the technique, but I knew that he was unwilling to do the technique that would take 10 seconds for him to like solve his shoulder problem without having to go to the massage therapist, me, or the chiropractor
Mhm.
or the chiropractor, right? And I even explained
Mhm.
that to him. He's like, no, 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 I go there and they fix this and I'm like, okay, I know where this guy's at.
Yep.
And at that point, I'm like, I'm fully expecting like, okay, well, look, go talk to the personal trainer. You're doing great. If you have any questions or the massage therapist wants to contact me, the chiropractor wants to contact me, I can let her know my findings. You're doing great. I'm thinking like, all right, he's done. Like I'm done with this guy. Because we get to choose our patients too, right? But not from a
Yeah.
judgmental way, just kind of like, I don't want to
It's
be
a
with
it's a
this
match or it's not a
personality. Yeah,
match.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
And it's like if he's not he wants somebody that's gonna rub it out. Cool. That's what he's a massage therapist for, right? No big deal. And then he's like, this was amazing. All right, so I want to get in the next 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh crap. Right. So then at that point I was like, all right, that's cool. But what I'll do is when do you have your personal training? Awesome. This time I'll meet you like 15 minutes before and I will go ahead and do the fascial release that you liked, and then we'll get you on your way. The price is going to be the same. All right.
Yeah.
Just whether it took me an hour, no, it's going to take me 15 minutes. I'm going to give him 15 minutes of my energy. I'm going to be happy. It's totally fine because I know I'm just meeting him where he's at. But in that
Mhm.
moment, we have those feelings and it's completely fine. But you have to
Yeah.
check yourself in, and you can also ground yourself like you did, or
Yeah.
you can ground yourself like I did and then take it out on the patient's fascia. I'm just kidding. But I kind of did that a little bit. I was like, all right, he wants pain. I can do some manual techniques, right? That he'll
Yeah.
perceive as it's helping because I'm giving him pain.
Yeah.
Um, and then and some trigger points and stuff like that. But then we also get to choose our patients, and it
Hmm.
was like, okay, cool.
Yep.
Um, and it's just life, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Very much so. And one of the and yeah, again, it's like one of the things that we sometimes forget is a part of the equation when you're trying to figure out if you're going to be able to help somebody is to understand, okay, are we a match? Is it does what I
Yes.
do and who I am match what you're looking for and what you perceive is going to help you? Right, and we know that when someone believes something's going to help, it's going to, it's far more likely to actually help them. And at that point, it's just a matter of us being able to determine, okay, is it with me? Is it going to be with someone else?
Right.
Or is this a situation where I just need to learn? This is my opportunity to learn how to
Yeah,
center myself and ground myself,
exactly.
and it's good practice because once again, like you never know who's going to walk through your door, and you never know um, how it's going to challenge you to get to know yourself a little bit better
Yeah,
and be able to manage your energy. And so the biggest things is, as as soon as you notice that you're getting some sort of energetic emotional response to the person that's in front of you, just take note of it. Take note of it. Maybe jot down, a little bit about it after, and give yourself time to process it. Ground yourself. That way, you don't take it with you for the rest of your day. It's okay if it kind of comes up and your body's like, I still actually have a little more energy. I have to like siphon out because that's how it happens sometimes. But again, it's no reflection on you as a clinician. It's no reflection on a skill set or
right.
competence. It's very much just there's a 7 billion people in this world, and this
Exactly.
person so happens to just be one who clashes or doesn't quite vibe or gel with your energy, and that's okay.
Yeah. And it's a great opportunity to learn about yourself. Like life is just a game, and it's a constant interaction with people, and we are emotional beings. So every experience is emotional, right? That's how our nervous system actually learned, and what we call triggers nowadays. Some people trigger us in the bad way, and other people are like, "Oh, I love this," and you don't know why. But the more, if you can understand why it made you feel good or triggered you in some way, then the more you learn about yourself and the more at peace and grounded you will be throughout life. So use all these individuals and people and experiences to kind of help you become a more integrated physical therapist, right?
Yes.
So you can help more people and also just focus also on all the good things. I know today we kind of talked about two cases that were like, oh my gosh, these are the people that like can frustrate us to bring up a topic that we all feel. But I also want to help everybody understand that we need to get out of the habit of focusing on the bad things, right? Because we helped I've helped like 50 people in a positive way that just this week. But we talked about that one, right?
Right.
So everybody, all the other 49 were super happy. And I got text, Santi, thank you so much. I got in your schedule. I gotta bring you my mom.
Hmm.
I gotta bring, so like those are amazing. But for some reason, we always focus or remember like the mistake or the one frustrating thing of your day or the one person that triggered you in a negative way. And then you go home and you're like, can't believe this person. So if you're
Yep.
going home frustrated, like maybe go to your spouse and when they say, how's your day, babe? You say, oh my gosh, tell them all the good things that went home that day. I mean, that happened that
Hmm.
day. And then maybe you wouldn't even remember the one bad thing, right? So just that way we become better professionals, better people, and it'll be better for our patients.
Yes, indeed. So, have you ever encountered a client or a patient like this? Share your stories with us. DM us on Instagram. I'm at Sarah the Physio Sensei and then Santi the Physio Sensei on
Yes.
Instagram. Or if you have any other sort of frustrations that you've noticed that you'd love for us to talk about, let us know too. But otherwise, keep tuned, keep posted, stay tuned, stay tuned. That's what I meant to say. Stay tuned because we're going to be releasing more stuff on the true colors, like Santi had mentioned earlier, to kind of help equip you with additional tools on how to maybe pick up on these personalities sooner in your evaluations when you meet these individuals, and then how to also navigate them, other tools that can kind of help you be able to meet them where they're at. And then everybody's going to be like, whoa, this person just gets me, even if you're like,
Exactly.
you're not the exact match for me, and that's okay. At least I can help
Yep,
you in this session, right? But
exactly.
until the next podcast, I'm Sarah the Physio Sensei.
And I'm Santi the Physio Sensei.
See you next time.
Bye bye.